We will stand on principle, or we will not stand at all.
Hello, everyone. This is Thierry Ruiz here, and this is another episode of Principal Discord. This time, I have the honor to be joined by Eman Pulis. Eman, I've known you from Sigma Group that you founded, but also the AIBC Summit in Malta, and you're currently opening a fund. So, amongst other things, tell us more about what you're going through lately.
The honor is all mine, Thierry. Thanks for having me. And yes, as you said correctly, I've been doing events all my life. Those events morphed into some of the largest conferences worldwide, focusing on iGaming, which means online gambling, focusing on emerging tech, which includes blockchain, AI, fintech, quantum computing, big data, and all the emerging future tech. And I also have a conference on digital marketing focusing on affiliation. So all the affiliates from different verticals come to the show. Those are my conference businesses.
And what about your fund?
The fund is an interesting one. And I explained why I decided to set up the fund. I meet so many interesting people, be it investors, angel investors, be it CEOs or owners of huge companies, multimillionaires and billionaires who are clients of mine already because they take part in my conferences. On the other hand, I meet so many startups that have great potential or that I run by superstars who have had already some successful exits. And the aim of the fund is to bring those two closer together. Not only in gaming, but the fund will be focusing on all the verticals that we operate in, including online gambling, esports, future tech, fintech, blockchain and AI, as well as psychedelics.
Wow, that's great. Look, Eman, I like it the way you frame it because this is exactly what it is. I remember being at some of the conferences, it could be the WEF or it could be yours, right? And, you know, sometimes you end up in a room where there's everything you need there, from financing to technology to the idea. And it's only a matter of literally putting the people around the table and make things happen. And everybody needs everybody else. So when you have an exposure like you do, where you meet all of these people, it makes a lot of sense. And I would encourage people to go to these conferences because there's no substitute for human encounter, right? At the end of the day, you look at each other and you get this vibe. And they are pretty massive, actually, for Malta. I think you basically grow the population of Malta in a couple of, during a time span. Like, tell me more about those and what's the end? Because I loved, when I went to Malta, the vibe is so great. The weather is
great.
With pleasure. In a different mood. So tell us more about it.
With pleasure, yes. First, I'll answer your very valid comment about the need to meet face-to-face. So when the pandemic hit, some people told me, Eman, you're going to become redundant. We're not going to need your conferences anymore. Start looking for a job. This is the kind of feedback I was getting, right? These guys had no clue they weren't more farther from the truth. It's like comparing, let's say I'm a fan of Coldplay. It's like comparing listening to Coldplay on YouTube versus getting 2 VIP tickets at a sold-out concert. Still the same music, but I guarantee you they are two different vibes. And that's what a conference does versus a Zoom call. So that's to put one case to rest, right?
Eman, next time we're going to meet in person. We're going to do another one of those in person at one of your events. Because I would love to go back to Malta. So yeah, move on.
And when it comes, yes, you mentioned Malta. I have a soft spot for Malta, right? I'm Maltese. I was born and raised here. And without blowing trumpets, we have become sort of a big fish in a small pond. And I love it because all the suppliers from boot builders, restaurants, hoteliers, Everyone is calling me, telling me, thank you, thank you, thank you. The month of November is our best month of the year because of Sigma. So the whole island is buzzing because of my conference. And I couldn't be prouder. So yes, I'm happy because the floor is sold out, but I'm even happier because I know that Sigma is serving a purpose that's higher than just being an event, right? It makes the country proud. It puts the country on a platform where it can shine at least once a year when it comes to promoting what Malta does as a jurisdiction. Yeah. And yes, I can't wait. In 3 weeks, between the 16th and the 18th of November, I'm doing something for the very first time. I'm merging all my conferences, my online gambling show, my blockchain show, my digital marketing show under one roof. And I'm expecting a lot of cross-pollination happening between these shows.
Yeah, that's pretty huge. Where it's going to be like this big area, right? So let me just switch gears a little bit because you're touching on something that is pretty important. This show is about principles, okay? And you're basically defining one of the principles that you were discussing that is bigger than you. You know, it makes me think of Lee Kuan Yew when it comes to, I'm going to blow the trumpet for you. Lee Kuan Yew when he was building Singapore, or Toyota when they had this vision. It was not about making Toyota the best brand or making Toyota the top of the technology. It was making the country being seen, putting the country
behind it,
bringing the people together. And I think, you know, it's a lot of a conversion of effort to make that happen. I'm in Switzerland. I'm very happy here, and I keep on promoting it everywhere else because that's where I sit. So I want everybody to look at my house and see that it's nice. But Malta is there's definitely something there because a lot of startups that, you know, they're struggling finding the right spot to have the access to Europe, to have an open for business mindset, and then by showcasing the potential, right, to the regulators, to the local government, you know, that's how they actually see the productive activities that the private sector can bring to an island. So Malta was known as the gambling show, right, and then the online gambling center. And then you're kind of diversifying into other things that are great. So I think everybody is happy. What through the experience of doing this from when you started to where you are now, what have you learned, and what are the principles you would like to recall or to share with the viewers?
What do you mean sharing in terms of
like some of the stories that you've been through that really made the click between being somewhere and then kind of like those moments where you are like, wow, this is it, it's gonna get big, you know?
Oh, you mean in my conference?
Yes.
Look, I think from day one I believed that Malta, it wasn't about my event, but I believed strongly that Malta deserved to have a platform where it can shine once a year. So before I started, there were great conferences in Barcelona, in London, in Berlin, yet Malta had a great jurisdiction. There was a great authority who regulated gaming very, very well. There was a great network of companies in Malta, yet there was no conference. And I thought I could fill that void, and it worked, right? Because from year one, the conference Sigma took off like wildfire. So
I think you're right. It's like also the people who come from overseas. I myself included. When I went to Malta last time, I was looking at, wow, this could be a good place to set shop, you know. Branch, and why not? The weather is nice, the people are nice, the food is nice, the party is great. Now we live in a decentralized world. I mean, Aren't you afraid that it's going to be a little crowded? People are going to leave the megalopolis and then go to Malta because it's so much better over there?
Look, I think Malta has always been very effective and efficient in striking a balance, right? You don't go to Malta for one reason. You go to Malta because you find different points of attractiveness, right? Malta has a great fiscal in package as well for both companies, but also for individual. For example, Malta has a great tax scheme for highly qualified persons who want to relocate to Malta, and they end up paying only 15% personal tax. So those are all incentives that Malta offers to help companies attract top talent to Malta. So there's that.
So what's the future now?
Come again, sorry?
What is the future now? What's next?
Malta has done exceptionally well. Look at history, right? Malta is a small state, and I think we can all agree that both sides of the government can slaughter each other on several things, but when it comes to the best national interest on economic terms, I think both government and opposition agree that sectors like financial services, iGaming, now blockchain and artificial intelligence, we're going to agree on those. We're going to regulate in the best national interest in order to attract more jobs to the country. So I think Malta does an extremely good job in being compact to regulate those spheres which are forward thinking.
Yeah, and then you can also very quick go and meet the people you need to meet, because it's not like a gigantic place, so you can just
No, look, everything happens within a 5-mile radius, and I can guarantee you the climate lends itself even well for companies and individuals to help each other out.
Yeah, sorry, the light was gone a little bit here. Anyways, okay, so and another question, I was speaking to Hugh Henry, former head of Eclectic Management. He's a hedge fund manager, and now he's moved to St. Bart's, where he's basically developing property. And he sees that there is an opportunity with the decentralized world of people just seeking places where it's good to live, and then work from there. And this attracts a lot of people, a lot of quality people who can afford to essentially work from home and do that. So there is always this cloud type of phenomena where you see, I always take the Silicon Valley example, where you have a Silicon Valley and then everybody goes there, and then it attracts even more people and more people. In a decentralized world like blockchain, there's still some clouds happening here and there, and Malta is definitely one where it's highly regarded for the jurisdiction. About your fund, how are you going to be setting this up? Are you gonna take managers that are going to look at the different streams? Are you going to be looking for partners to put pieces of a portfolio in it? How do you go about it? What's the story?
All of it. Well, I made the first step a couple of months ago. We're setting it up in Luxembourg, which I think is a solid jurisdiction for funds. The fund's name will be Ikigai Ventures. It's a Japanese philosophy I hold dear.
Can you repeat?
The fund's name will be Ikigai Ventures. Ikigai is probably the most beautiful word that I know of that cannot be translated in English. And the fund will be focusing basically on early seed startups mostly. It's a 10 to 20 million fund, which we will start raising in mid-November during the show. So we're going to start the raise during Sigma and during AIBC.
So what does this name mean exactly?
Well, Ikigai basically means that if you manage to succeed at 4 important aspects in your life, so whatever you do in your life, make sure that it compensates you well. Make sure that you love doing it. Make sure that you're really good at it, and make sure that it's great for society. If you manage to hit those four at whatever you're doing, then you have found your ikigai.
Wow,
And
that's a great principle of success. I think this is what we're looking for in this podcast. I think it might be natural to you because you know it, but sometimes not everybody knows about those things. So I encourage everybody to share their words, the key words, like experience and things like that, where they see what it opened windows in some other people's minds.
And I'll explain how it translates to the fund, right? Why Ikigai Ventures? We want to invest in companies that are doing it the right way. So if we're investing in online gambling, we want to invest in those companies that are run by people who love, who are passionate about what they're doing, who are rock stars at what they're doing, but also who operate in regulated markets. So we don't want to support companies that are operating on the black market, because that's not great for society. We want to invest in companies that are well regulated by the regulator who has the best interest of the player in mind as well. So this is why Ikigai, right? And we won't be investing just in online gambling.
So the fund is set up in Luxembourg, but you're going to be managing it from Malta, or is there going to be any offices in Malta? What is there any link there?
No, the structure is going to be set up in Luxembourg. I am not a resident of Malta. I travel a lot. I live all around the world. And we have another general partner who's based in Dubai.
Okay.
And the aim is to find another 2 general partners by the end of the year.
And then ideally, what would they be like?
Well, a general partner needs to be someone who has experience in one of those 4 verticals where we're operating, be it iGaming, future tech, blockchain, fintech, esports, or psychedelics. If you have extensive experience in one of those 4, and if you can connect the fund to a number of investors who are committing, then I think that makes you a qualified general partner.
Okay, let's talk about psychedelics. I like that. So why psychedelics? What do you see there happening?
Think about the fund, right? We're operating in all these vices, whether it's online gambling, whether it's crypto, whether it's psychedelics, whether it's esports. These are all forward-thinking verticals and are sometimes quite frowned upon by a section of the general public. So that's why we want to invest in those companies, but invest in those companies that are operating in, let's say, bad verticals, however, that are doing it the right way, that are doing it in a regulated way. And if you look at iGaming, it's being regulated all over the world. The US is embracing iGaming, Latin America is embracing iGaming, Africa is embracing iGaming. So it's fast catching up, and you have a lot of public listed companies now looking into the market. Same with esports. Esports until recently was considered the subject in which teenagers are spending too many hours playing, and it's a waste of time. Now esports is seen as a much more different light. Psychedelics.
I mean, you're right. I mean, I want to pick on the word vice, because I think it's a bit tricky there, because I mean, every vice it always becomes the eye of the beholder, right? So it really depends on where you come from when you look at it. Because gambling, for example, okay, let me describe this. Gambling, I would describe this as fun. Okay, I don't have a gambling problem. I would say I'd like to play poker, to have fun with my friends, have a little drink,
Perfect. Look, people spend 100 euros to spend 2 hours watching the movies, buy a nice cone of popcorn, and they end up, spending $100, right, for those 2 hours of pure fun watching a movie at the cinemas. You can spend 2 hours sitting on a table, playing blackjack or playing poker, having a laugh with your friends, and it costs you $100 just as much. Both 2 hours are spent wisely, I would say, and it's great fun, right? So I think there's a lot of
what I'm trying to get
value in iGaming.
Is the divide between what can be good and can be wrong depending on how you perceive things, right? Because again, you can see as gambling as a bad habit and as a problem. You can see as this sector being source of fun, having a good cigar, good whiskey, and then play poker with your friend. But same goes for psychedelics, right? Okay, so there's some people who would just use and abuse them, but then there could be people who would see therapeutic,
yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Look, there's amazing case studies on microdosing, macrodosing, the use of mushrooms, use of LSD, use of MDMA, and there's a lot of studies being carried out now. The topic is still in its embryonic phase. I think in no time we're going to see a lot of investors. I'm pretty sure about that. A lot of investors coming into this space. Because the results of those studies are very encouraging. Come again, sorry?
Do the investors have to try the product themselves? Do you think it's necessary?
I don't think it's necessary unless they believe in the outcome of the paper, of the research, and they actually need some therapy themselves. But I'll give you an example. Use of MDMA to treat post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, among war veterans. There's actual studies who are indicating that we should be looking into this further because there are some positives that come out of the use of controlled substances. It's a fascinating subject, and I want to be at the forefront to be part of it, to help shape the industry in the right direction. I don't want to come in late. I want to be at the forefront because that's also what reaps the best benefits for the fund.
Okay, Eman, let me challenge you a bit, okay? I will take the position of the conservative and I will say, but Eman, you are turning the island into hell. You're basically filth. It's gonna be hell on earth. Like, you are not sharing the right values here. What are you doing to this country? What would you respond to that?
I would say that we're basing all our decision on facts, on numbers, and on science. We're not renegades. We don't operate or consider investing in unregulated markets. We want to operate in regulated markets. And that is what sets our fund apart from all the noise.
But there's a difference between legal and moral. Where do you draw the line?
The difference between legal and moral, I think I drew the line clearly where the legal stands. Where the moral stands, it's the position of each and every individual who either decides to invest with us or to come on board with us. The companies that we're investing in are morally sold that they're on the right side of history.
Yeah.
If we're investing in those verticals and if we want to reach our ikigai, as I told you before, I think it's pretty clear that morally, I also believe that I am on the right side of history. Otherwise, I wouldn't be doing this.
Okay, so what are in the hierarchy?
I'll give you another example.
Go ahead.
Let's talk about online gambling. The choice is not whether to have online gambling. Mention a state, any country. Let's say the United States. The choice is not whether there should be online gambling or whether there shouldn't be online gambling. Government do not have that luxury of choice because online gambling is still going to be rampant through VPNs, through whatever it may, in many, many households. If someone wants to gamble online, they can do it today, even if it's banned wherever.
Yeah.
Iran, Afghanistan, China, USA, it's banned. They can still play today using a VPN, but they're playing on rogue casinos online where the government is not protecting them. There is no authority they can go to if something goes wrong to look after their best interest. If governments, on the other hand, decide to regulate it, then they're ensuring that the citizens' best interests are safeguarded. Because if something happens, the player knows that the casino he's playing on is regulated by his government, and then he can file any complaint or any issues he may have with the government. Let's not exclude also taxation. The government should be reaping the benefits of taxing also those verticals.
Hold on. Hold on there. I don't like taxes here, so let me cut you.
Why not?
I'm going to take the other position, okay? Now I'm going to take the absolute opposite of what I was just before. I'm going to be the hardcore libertarian, but also somewhat nihilistic person that anything goes, okay? Do we need regulation? Do we need all of these taxation and coercion? I mean, like you
Absolutely.
said, it's going to happen anyway. So let me finish. Is it not rather that, it's all a free market, so let them all operate, and then eventually, by trial and error, people will figure out who the best are and who the best are not. Why wouldn't we have places there where anything goes and, it's a lot more
I don't agree.
Distinctive.
It is a free market, yes, but let's not forget there's fundamental human rights, and my freedom stops when I start impinging on others' freedoms. I'll give you an example, right, to make things a bit simpler.
Yeah.
Gambling, it can become addictive. All the verticals we're mentioning can become addictive. So a level of control, I think, goes a long way in making sure that the fiber of society stays healthy. And I'll give you an example. If I let someone abuse of narcotics, that someone can go in the streets and cause havoc. That's not in the best national interest. That's not in everyone's best interest in terms of safety or in terms of damage you can cause to property. So yes, you have freedom, but your freedom stops when you start harming your surrounding. And I think that's why governments are necessary.
When you become a danger for others. This is a very good debate. Just want to remind the viewers that I'm also the managing director of the AIER Bastia Society in Switzerland. It's the American Institute for Economic Research. It's a libertarian think tank. If you want to join us and talk about free markets and what is right and what is wrong, everybody has their opinion, but ultimately I think it is about people. It's about individuals taking the right choice and doing that what they think is right for them, like you said, in order to have a clean conscience of doing things right. So it's a completely different debate. Eman, we're kind of reaching the end of it. For the people listening to this, what would be your message when it comes to, okay, like this makes sense? What would you say? Like, come to Malta and
with pleasure. I look forward to welcome any of you to Malta with arms wide open. Find me online, whether it's Facebook, whether it's LinkedIn, you'll find me everywhere. Talk to me. I would love to tell you more about all these verticals we're operating in. I would tell you more about the show, or if it's easier, just log on to sigma.world or aibc.world, and you will find all about the agenda, about the details, about the networking events, the parties. We have it all.
I like the part, Eman. Next time we'll be together physically. We're gonna do the parties together, and we're gonna prove you right. So that being said, this is it for this episode of Principle Discord. I think there was some principles said. There were some discords as well, but it's all good fun. And I appreciate your time, Eman. Thank you for being here. And I hope next time it will be live. So I'll see you then.
Thanks for having me.
We will stand on principle, or we will not stand at all.